Ready? We are here for the regular meeting of the Natrona County Board of County Commissioners. It's Tuesday, November 5th, 5:03 p.m. The meeting's been called to order. May we have a roll call?
Here.
Present.
Here. Here.
Here, at this time, I would entertain a motion to enter into executive session for legal advice and discuss pending litigation.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Mill and seconded by Commissioner Friel. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're in executive session. We'll return promptly at 5:30. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the States of America. Justice for all. I would ask for a motion I'd ask for a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved to approve the consent agenda items by Commissioner Friel, seconded by Commissioner Milne. Any discussion? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The consent agenda items as listed have been approved. We don't have any contracts, agreements, or resolutions tonight. The next item is a public hearing on VC 24-03 Alcova West Ranches. I now declare the public hearing open for the consideration of VC 24-03 Alcova West Ranches, a request by Alcova West Ranches Homeowners Association for lot size requirements in SR1. The lot is located at Alcova West Ranchettes, lots 8 and 9. If the variance is approved, the HOA will replat to split off the land where the water distribution is for maintenance purposes. The hearing will be conducted in accordance with state statutes, rules of the commission, and other applicable laws. I'd ask those individuals wishing to address the commission to please approach the lectern and state your name and address. But first, may we have a report from staff?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. Sean Gustafson, interim planner. Anyway, as stated, a request by Shane Bullard, HOA president, for approval for a variance to amend. Let me catch up here. Yep. And nothing's working. So I'll just start going into it here. A request by Shane Bullard, HOA president, for approval for variance to amend the Alcova West Ranchettes plat to approve the non-conforming lot for the exclusive use of existing public water well system. The parcel contains approximately 0.466 acres in this suburban residential SR1 zoning district. Legal description, Lot 9 Alcova West Ranchettes being part of the southwest quarter of Section 28, Township 30 North, Range 83 West of Natrona County. The property is located on the southwesterly side of Cedar Valley Road, approximately 0.8 miles westerly of the intersection of Lakeshore Drive and Lakeview Road. Minimum lot size in SR1 is 2 acres. The existing land use, the property is currently residential use with the well and appurtenances within an easement. The adjacent land use, north is suburban residential, south suburban residential, east suburban residential, and west is RAM, ranching, agricultural, and mining. The water source for this area is the Alcova West Ranchettes water system, which is the thing we're here to talk about. Variance consideration. The purpose of variance is to allow a specific deviation from the regulations that is not contrary to the desired future character of the site when, due to special circumstances of the land, strict application of these regulations would result in undue and unique hardship. Approval criteria. In granting any variance, the BOCC may attach such reasonable conditions and safeguards as it may deem necessary to implement to purposes of the act and zoning ordinance, of this act and zoning ordinance. The applicant shall have the burden of demonstrating the proposal satisfies the applicable review criteria. Variances shall be approved upon finding Number one, there are exceptional or unique circumstances and conditions applicable to the property involved, and literal application of this resolution to the applicant's property will result in hardship that is greater than the protection offered to the community. Two, special circumstances and conditions have not resulted from any willful modification of the land or building. Three, the variance is sought is the minimum variance necessary to provide balance between the purpose of the regulation sought to be varied and its impact on the applicant. Four, the variance will not result in a gain in use, service, or income for the applicant to a greater extent than available to other landowners in the vicinity. Five, the granting of the variance will not impair the use of adjacent property or alter the character of the neighborhood. Six, granting the variance is consistent with the general intent and purpose of the county development plan and this resolution. And seven, the site is not subject to a series of variances that circumvent the purpose of this section. Staff findings. In the case of BC 24-3, a request for a zoning variance, the lot size, according to the recorded subdivision Alcova West Ranchettes, recorded in 1979, was 1.42 acres. The owner would like to reduce the size of lots 8 and 9 through the use of an amended plat. The result will be that the lot with an existing residential use, lot 8, will be redefined to 2 acres. The remaining 0.466 acres will be the variance requested as lot 9. Lot 9 will be deeded to the HOA and limited in use for housing the well and appurtenances. Well, cistern and appurtenances associated with the operation of the public water system exclusively. There is no sanitary system on this lot currently. Planning considerations. Following comments from staff have been received. Oh, we've got up there now. Road and Bridge had no comment. The county surveyor had no comment. Natrona County Soil Conservation District had no comment. The Fire District had no comment. GIS had no comment. County Assessor had no comment. The Natrona County Health had no issue with the variance, but stated that the development of the property would require a minimum of 200-foot separation between Alcova West Ranchettes public well, which is located on the lot, and the proposed septic system. And I'll just add that there is no proposed septic system for this lot. Public comment. As of this date of this report, the staff has not received any written public comments. Notices were sent to the surrounding neighbors. At the Planning Commission meeting of October 8th, 2024, Shane Bullard, president of the HOA, spoke in favor, and there were none speaking in opposition. Recommendations. Staff finds the application for the variance complete, and the request is in compliance with items 1 through 7 of the approved criteria as we just went through. Staff recommended 2 additional conditions for the approval to the Natrona County Planning Condition. Number 1, the proposed lot 9 only be used for the HOA public water system and distribution. And number 2, the proposed amended lot 8 be a minimum of 2 acres. And that both those items are agreed to. Natrona County Planning Commission passed a motion to recommend approval to the BOCC that included these 2 items, and Alcova West Ranchettes has complied. With all items in conformance with the current zoning resolution and all additional conditions met, staff finds case VC 24-3 to be complete and in compliance and acceptable. Staff proposes that the Natrona County Board of Commissioners enter a motion to vote to recommend approval or denial of the requested variance. Staff also recommends that the motion incorporate by reference all findings of fact set forth. With that, I answer any questions or discuss anything further. I guess the one thing I'd like to emphasize again is the sole purpose of this is to put that well and appurtenances on its own separate lot without the easements, and that way the HOA actually does have a bit of real property that it owns, so.
Questions for Mr. Gustus and Commissioner North?
John, what, you said that there was, I missed it. There's no current septic system on 9, but there is on 8.
That's correct.
Okay, all right, that's just for my clarification.
Yes.
I heard that, so, and what is the minimum requirement, current requirement for lot sizes in SR1?
For lot size, 2 acres.
Okay, so that is the minimum size,
Yes.
so this is gonna be, this is
that was our
basically gonna
recommendation.
turn this into a conforming lot.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. And this, of course, was platted under a different set of.
right, I understand that, I'm just saying, yeah.
Yes.
Commissioner Friel?
Well, I probably have some of the same questions. I just want to summarize a few things. So this is SR1 zoning
Yes.
currently. Okay. 2 acres is minimum amount for that zoning.
Yes, it is.
Need a lot right now are at 2 acres, either 8 or 9.
Currently, no, neither is. With the variance, lot number 8 would become 2 acres.
Yep. And that was my next one. Lot 8 would become 2 acres. The remainder of lot 9 then is for water supply only. There will be no other structures, residence, or anything else placed on it, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Thank you.
This is a variance request. They will then, if approved, then they would do a replat application.
Yes, yes.
Maybe the applicant is here and maybe they'll speak to this, Sean, but let me ask you. This area that they've identified for the well is actually a little bigger than I would have imagined. There's some land to the south, and I know that around this subdivision and in this subdivision, there are some pretty big gullies and things like that. So I didn't know if there was some basis or reason for taking this proposed lot all the way to the south lot line versus, did they need all that? When you talk about appurtenances, are those appurtenances going to be located on kind of the southern portion of this proposed lot 9?
As I understand it, the appurtenances and so on will be located right around the existing well house, which is, at the northern side of lot 9, northern end of the proposed lot 9. There would be room on this lot for a little bit more, some area to turn around and things like that. Going all the way to the south, I guess it wouldn't have to go all the way to the south, but that was what was proposed, and I saw no issue.
And from a
with that.
planning perspective, there aren't any concerns you have with having it identified or assigned in this, with these dimensions?
No, I don't. I do like the fact that lot 8 is now a conforming lot.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. Gustafson? Commissioner Mill?
And just to reiterate, the proposed lot 9 then would be owned by the HOA.
That is correct, yes.
Have you reviewed, and this may or may not be within the purview of your work on this variance request, but, HOAs fall apart sometimes over the course of the years. You maybe have an active one and then it becomes inactive. I would think that they ought to have their ducks in a row and their agreements set because, if this could be their water supply source, that they have all those, the usage agreements and all that stuff dialed in pretty well. Do you know if they've addressed that?
This HOA has been in existence basically since the subdivision began, and for the main purpose is the public water system. So if the HOA were to dissolve, there would be no public water system, and they would have no way of getting water. So I do believe that this will be a pretty solid HOA.
Okay. I don't see any other questions for you, so thank you, and we'll let you know if we need you to respond to any of the other comment.
All right, thank you.
At this time, I'd ask those individuals wishing to speak in favor of this variance request to please approach the lectern. Good evening.
Oh,
Chairman, members of the board. My name's Paul Svensson, with licensed surveyor with WLC, 200 Pronghorn, Casper. I was hired by the client, or by Shane Bullard, to do the surveying for them. Shane Bullard couldn't make it today for the meeting, so I'm just here to, in favor, and if you have any questions on the plating, I can't really answer anything about the water supply or his intent there, but I think Mr. Gustafson covered it pretty well.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Svensson? I don't see any questions. Thank you. Any others wishing to speak in favor of VC 24-03 Alcova West Ranches variance request of lots 8 and 9, please approach.
My name is Dina Lopez. I am the treasurer of our homeowners association. And like he spoke, if we didn't keep our association together, we would not have water because everybody pays dues, and a home out there without water isn't going to do anybody any good. And so we are a pretty solid board, and we operate according to our bylaws, and we don't go against anything for it. And we are adjudicated, our water rights. We went ahead and adjudicated them probably 10 years ago so that we would have rights to water.
Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any others wishing to speak in favor of this VC 24-03 variance request, please approach. Last call for any wishing to speak in favor of VC 24-03, please approach. Then at this time, I'd ask those individuals wishing to speak in opposition to the variance request, please approach. Second call for those wishing to speak in opposition to the variance request 24-03, please approach. And final request for those wishing to speak in opposition to VC 24-03, please approach. There being no others to speak for or against this variance request, I now declare the public hearing closed. I would entertain a motion on the application for variance.
Chairman, I'd make a motion to approve VC 24-3 with all staff recommendations and reference of finding of facts, with the two conditions that proposed lot 9 only be used for the HOA public water system and distribution, and the proposed amendment lot 8 would be a minimum of 2 acres to conform to our zoning code.
I'll second that motion.
The motion's been nicely stated by Commissioner Milne and seconded by Commissioner North. Any discussion? Then all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. VC 24-03 has been approved. Thank you. Now we turn to the public comments section of our meeting. We have traditionally allowed 5 minutes to each speaker. You don't need to use the entire time if you don't want to. Mr. Representative, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the commission. I'm going to pass some stuff out if that's okay. I want to give some information for the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. I want to, the topic I want to discuss this evening is related to the leadership, management, and oversight issues as it relates to Natrona County Airport, and concerns or issues at least that are about how the Natrona County Board of Trustees, airport management, and ultimately the county commissioners in their role as the FAA airport grant assurance sponsors? And have we acted in the best interest of the Natrona County people? And there's arguments that that may not be the case. There's a pattern of extraordinarily poor and wasteful decisions and actions that violate airport board and the airport's own minimum standards, as well as FAA grant assurance requirements, and ongoing and continual actions that create conflicts of interest, and at the very least, an appearance of impropriety. And I believe that these must be addressed before the airport, before our airport and potentially our county are subject to regulatory and enforcement actions resulting in issues related to federal grant monies. The most obvious problem, or the first one I want to address, is the minimum revenue guarantee aimed at preserving the Southwest airline flight from Casper to Salt Lake. And basically this represents $2 million of potential waste of public funding. The justification for this claim initially was a pilot shortage. Airport management presented various talking points provided by SkyWest to the airport board, along with claims that every small market was involved in paying for services. The question we have, and the issue that I think has come up with many, is was there due diligence behind this? Was there an effort made to ensure that SkyWest claims were valid, and or was this actually a temporary situation? And maybe most importantly, was this an opportunity for them to prop up their balance sheet, for our SkyWest to prop up their balance sheet? The airport board and airport directors presented a crisis situation. As I recall, in that first meeting, it was presented to the county commissioners with less than a day notice and a demand for an on-the-spot decision. And I think that was kind of an urgent issue that didn't need to be done. Rather than requiring the airport management as basically as county employees to provide proper staffing and support to this process. And so the question is, have the commissioners and the airport board all acted in a responsible manner, and weren't they pushed to act in a more responsible, provide enough information to ensure a better solution? The commissioners approved the MRG initially in that single instance, but then of course that it happened over several quarters after that. The question is, again, and the question I'm bringing up, did anyone at the airport board or in the airport management examine this issue thoroughly and investigate it deeply and provided a detailed analysis and the detailed information that the commission needed? Interestingly enough, in a move that probably even a cursory assessment would have predicted, SkyWest changed the equipment used for the flight from Casper to Salt Lake to a larger aircraft. If you think about it, that in this case, they're knowing they're going to get, they know they're going to get their information, or they're going to get paid for it. The one other issue, a couple of other issues you're going to find on this, you're going to find several issues. I'd like you to go over them, take a good hard look, but there's a number of additional issues in terms of leases out at the airport, how they've been done, and how they've been done in an appropriate way to make sure that we're supporting the Natrona County people, making sure Natrona County's interests are being considered. Thank you for this opportunity. Sorry I didn't get to everything, but hopefully that helps. Thank you.
Mr. Representative, thank you for coming tonight and putting this information in front of us. Have you provided it to the airport board or its manager?
I have not.
Would you be opposed to us forwarding it so that they can comment on some of the particulars and specifics?
No, that would be fine.
Okay,
Thank you.
and there are a number of points in here, so we'll take a look at it. And you know that I'm the liaison to the airport board. I have, some initial reaction to some of this and would be happy to have a conversation with you about kind of the history and what the information was at the time and why both this board and the airport board did what they did, at least from my perspective. So happy to engage with you on that at a later point.
Tony, would you say your name?
Thank you,
here?
Mr. Chairman. I'm so sorry. My
Would you
name
say
is
your-
Tony Locke. Should have said this up front. My name is Tony Locke. I'm a Natrona County resident. Very sorry I didn't hit that up front. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any others wishing to make public comment tonight? Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm Jeanette Ward. I'm a Natrona County resident. I live at 1600 East 26th Street in Casper. I also have concerns about the airport. It appears that the president of the airport board is also the chair of Advance Casper's board, as well as the co-owner of the bank that holds the airport's bank's accounts. The airport director is also on the Advance Casper board. Can you explain the appearance that decisions by the airport board create additional revenues via leases for the bank used by the airport, where an airport board member is also president of the airport board, chairman of the board at Advance Casper, and an owner of the bank used by the airport? There appear to be conflicts of interest that may need to be addressed. It is also alleged that the airport board went into executive session to discuss how to keep the airport board president, Advance Casper president, and bank owner from being embarrassed, allegedly while continuing the lease actions violating aeronautical use, in apparent violation of Wyoming public meetings rules. Can you please look into this? It is also alleged that some entities have been cited for storing a barbecue grill inside of a hangar, while others have been given a pass for using a grill inside a hangar under an aircraft wing. Hangars are designated for aeronautical use, yet it appears that some lessors have been cited for having parts or an airport car stored in a hangar, while others, allegedly including airport board members, store more vehicles than aircraft in their hangar. It appears that the selection of airport board members is done by the airport board and airport director telling the county commissioners who they want on, air quotes, their board. It is also alleged that the airport director sits in on the selection process of candidates for the airport board, essentially determining who will be his supervisors. I am respectfully requesting that the Natrona County Commissioners look into these matters. Thanks so much for taking the time to hear me.
Ms. Ward, thank you for appearing in front of us tonight. And I'll ask you pretty much the same question I asked Representative Locke, which is, have you conversed with or engaged with the airport board or its manager with regard to your concerns?
I have not.
Okay, and do you mind if we do?
Not at all.
And you've asked us to essentially do that. I don't know if you have something in writing you want to prepare like Representative Locke did that then can be specifically responded to, but I don't know if you've considered that.
I believe Representative Locke's written material would contain also these
Okay.
concerns.
Oh, okay, very
So-
good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Others wishing to make public comment? Mr. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Bill Alamand, 28033 Southeast State Highway 259 Midwest. Folks, 40 miles, 50 miles from here, we have a small group of people who are going out and fighting our fires. Our range fires have been so huge this year. Right now, we don't have a problem. Next year, we're going to have that problem again. And these people do not have the PPEs required for the job. And they're all volunteers. They're doing it for you and me. And I would like you folks to take a listen to them. 65% of the money that comes into this county comes from out there at Midwest. And yet we cannot even give these folks what they need to keep their lives safe while fighting our fires. And I would like us to take a look at that, get them, it's around $30,000, or it was 2 years ago. It may be a little more than that. But we need to get these folks what they need to stay safe while making us safe. Any questions?
I appreciate you coming tonight. I know that the airport was actually trying to get one of its firefighting tenders up to Midwest Edgerton. I don't know if you're aware of their attempt to support the Midwest Edgerton Fire Department.
Sir, what we need right now, we need,
Were you aware of that?
no, no, sir, I wasn't.
Your main focus tonight, I think, is PPE.
Yeah, yes, sir. And there is some issues with a couple trucks, but I want to get them the stuff that takes them to stay safe first, and then we'll worry about the trucks. But you know, they cover a huge area, and I just want these people to be safe because they're making me safe, and they're doing it at their peril at this time.
They do a great job.
Yes, sir, they do.
They're some of the best in the entire county. Now, we have a lot of really, really capable folks that just give their all, and I appreciate their efforts. I appreciate you coming before us tonight.
I would like to get this on the agenda and talk more about it and make a decision so that they will have the time to get this equipment in place before next year's fires. They're doing a great job, and we got to back them. And I do thank you.
Okay, I'll get together with you and see if we can get something put on a future agenda. Commissioner North.
Bill, I know this has been a subject that we've discussed in the past, and has come before this commission in the past. Just out of curiosity, do you know if Riley has gotten with Brian Oliver?
I do not know. I talked to Riley a couple days ago about this issue, and he did not indicate to me that he had spoke to anybody recently.
Okay, because that was one of the things that I requested, you know, that I've reached out to Brian to talk to him about this, to make sure that we could get some of this stuff taken care of.
Okay.
And so it's got to come from both sides. So, I mean, I appreciate you coming here and bringing this up, but we also need Riley to be involved in this. And
If we get it on the agenda, Riley will be here.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Thank you. Others wishing to make public comment tonight?
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yeah, Commissioner Friel.
Commissioner North, refresh my memory. Didn't we have this discussion? And was it a lack of paperwork at the time that we did not get the PPE pushed through?
If I may interject, I do remember it. They asked for $35,000. Commissioner Milne suggested they go see if they can get some sort of grant. The man came in with his son and his wife, and I never heard from him again, and no action was taken.
Okay. I thought we had
We-
done
we
something
did-
on it. That's why I was wanting to clarify.
We did discuss this prior to you and Commissioner Laird being on the commission. We did have a vote. We could not find that record.
Oh, yes.
And
Yep.
I know that's something that we had discussed, and that money had already been allocated somewhere else, and that particular individuals, those groups didn't follow through. So this is something that we are concerned about, and I'm concerned about, and we do need to get those guys taken care of. So yeah, I do want to see
Mr. Representative.
something brought before us.
Yes, it was discussed, and I brought it up, and we talked about it a year and a half, maybe even 2 years ago. And the reason, the money was directed elsewhere, and they were turned down, if I remember right. And I do not believe it was a paperwork snafu, or I would have been on it, because we had a snafu on our water line. I got on it, and it was all corrected immediately. I don't think it was a paper snafu, but if it was, we will get that corrected immediately, because they need the equipment.
So yeah, that money was allocated somewhere else, but then they weren't following through. So we were giving it to Salt
That's-
Creek,
That's what we were
and we
going to
voted
do.
on it.
And
It was
we
supposed to
voted,
have gone.
no, We didn't.
No, we did vote on it.
There was a couple.
It was
Sure
voted
did.
down.
Yes, it was. It was voted down because we could not, and I voted for it, but I know that I was told that we could not find the evidence that we had voted for giving that money to Midwest Edgerton. And that's the reason why it goes
Regardless.
back, and I'll go back, I'd go
right.
back, but that was,
Folks, let's try again because we need it.
Yep.
There you
Thank
go.
you.
I agree.
There you go. All right. Any others wishing? We will keep working on that, and I will be in touch with you. Our public comment usually doesn't go this direction. It goes this direction. So, any others wishing to make public comment?
Good evening, gentlemen. Rosemary Saban, Natrona County resident. At the last Board of County Commissioners meeting, October 15th, I asked if there was a conflict of interest with Chairman Nicolason in matters of the zone change on September 17th and also the legal easement of County Road 505 on October 9th. Historically, the chairman does vote on other matters, regardless of a tie break, contrary to the dissertation response given by Mr. Nicolason in closing comments about Robert's Rules of Orders. The response did follow a vote earlier in the meeting by the chairman pertaining to an application for a restaurant license for Sideline Sports Bar with no tie to be broken. Robert's Rules of Order are not formally adopted by the Natrona County Board of Commissioners. Robert's rules are leisurely or even conveniently used at the chairman's discretion. Since there are both clear conflicts of interest and appearances of impropriety, which means conduct that reasonable minds with knowledge of all relevant circumstances would perceive as materially impairing to fulfill the duties of office. Mr. Nicolason, do you feel that the conversation recorded in text with Mr. True gives the appearance of impropriety? Why, after the 4-0 vote allowing mining to be taken out of zoning, did you criticize Mr. True? Were you trying to cover up the fact that you favored Mr. True? Why did you feel the need to silence Commissioner Laird in that matter and prior to that during a work session with Banner Health? On March 19th, the first installment of the MRG request of over $2 million was voted on 4-1 and approved at the regularly scheduled county commission meeting with no public comment allowed. Following that vote, Oil City News quoted Mr. Nicolason on March 19th saying, "I think that I have to support this, but I don't see myself supporting this next time." On May 7th, the MRG request was voted on 4-1 and approved at the regularly scheduled county commission meeting through June 30th, 2025, again with no public comment. Mr. Nicolason, would you say there's a pattern of your actions not matching your words or your words in conflict with your actions? Mr. Nicolason, would it be reasonable for this county's residents to believe that in an investigation, clear conflicts of interest or at minimum, an appearance of impropriety would certainly be found? Thank you.
Thank you. Others wishing to make public comment?
Judy Jones, 335 North 8 Mile in Natrona. I just wanted to ask you guys, have you thought about the 5 minutes for the planning? We need to get these people, because that's the perfect time for information to be given to planners so they can make a really good, decision. They're fully informed. 3 minutes is not enough time for these folks to talk. I do thank you for my 15 minutes, and Rose will present what we've got going. But I think we need to give them back their 5 minutes too. I mean, we're not Germany, and we never have that many people that 5 minutes is going to hurt anybody by giving it to them. So that's basically what I want to ask is please give them back their 5 minutes. Let's not be shrewds.
Others wishing to make public comment? Good evening.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for the opportunity. I would like to direct my comments back towards the documentation that Mr. Locke provided you regarding the airport board. I'm taking a little bit different approach. Um, Quite a few years ago, I was appointed by Governor Friedenthal for the Wyoming Recreational State Trails Program, and part of our responsibilities was managing and the grant program, recreational trail program funding. And in this instance, all the people on that board, in a sense, had competing interests because they were all kind of vying for the same dollars. And simply all I would urge is as commissioners kind of try to find a kind of diversify the airport board who all have a common interest. I mean, we all have a common interest in seeing success for the airport, but one of the dangers I found when I first was on that other board, that we got a lecture by the Highway Administration liaison in Cheyenne. That was my first meeting, as he told people that you cannot use equipment purchased with federal dollars to be your in-kind contribution for the next equipment purchase with federal dollars. And in my 3 years there, I heard that lecture twice. And it wasn't my presentation, that was my very first meeting there, and I thought, we should know better than do that. So we don't want to risk those grant programs at the federal level. So any opportunity, I know you can't get people to want to be on these boards, but you can maybe ask people with a different interest. You don't have to have a pilot's license to be on a board, but maybe try to find someone with that idea that they have a little bit of a competing interest, competing for the tax dollars or looking after the tax dollars first. That's just my recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riggins. Oh, name and address.
Sorry. J.R. Riggins, 1872 Jim Bridger Avenue.
Very good.
Thank you.
Any others wishing to make public comment? What's that? No, any others? Very good. We will have commissioner comments, hopefully brief. Commissioner Laird.
I did have Michelle give me the resolution on our policy for appointment to Natrona County boards. It says no member shall serve more than 2 consecutive full terms or 2 full and 1 partial term. So I think with that in place, anybody that would be wanting to get on a board to serve 2 full terms would be disqualified. Now, I thought it was interesting as it goes on. It says, all members of the duly appointed board serve with the pleasure of the Board of County Commissioners and may be removed with or without cause upon the discretion of the county board, the Board of County Commissioners. Thought that's an interesting provision as well. But I was looking at what Mr. Locke gave us, some interesting information. I don't know where this information came from. I don't know whether it's accurate, but it certainly gets my attention when a legislature hands me something like this. One of the things that I have to say that I've said to the other commissioners is I would like to get away from boards sending us letters saying, here's who we want on our board. I think that's a prerogative solely of the county commissioners to appoint the boards. I was looking for the paragraph you had here about something like that. Says this scope law approach is not a surprise when the airport board is comprised of individuals who have exceeded the term limits for this airport board by years, if not decades, who said as a part of a family legacy, rotating seats with family members were selected to sit despite the people of Natrona County making clear they do not want that individual representing them not once but twice in 2 years. It is no surprise when the selection of airport board members is done by the airport board and airport director telling the county commissioners who they want on their board. Compound that with the fact that the airport director sits on the selection process of candidates for the airport board, essentially determining who will be his supervisors. Mr. Locke, is this something you wrote? Or do you know that this is accurate?
Some information has been provided to me from several different constituents that I have talked over with them in a little bit to go through this. And so I've pulled some of this together as areas of concern, obviously areas for us to dive into and make sure if I have put out something that is inaccurate, I'll gladly say I'm sorry about that. It's information that I've been provided that, from the information that I have seen at least, it looks like it is accurate. So
There's some pretty serious accusations here. So I'm just, as a lawyer, I read a lot of stuff, and some of it's true, some of it isn't true. And in this day and age, you always wonder what's true and what isn't true. So
sure.
Just looking this over, it's pretty serious accusations.
Commissioner North.
Be short. I just want to thank everybody that got out and voted this time around. Not just for the local elections, but also for the national elections. Seeing what's going on in this country and what has gone on, this is a fork in the road, and we're going to find out which fork we're going to take as a nation, and it's pretty scary as far as what the option is. So anyway, I do want to thank everybody that did get out and vote today. I really want to thank those that supported me. Thank you.
Commissioner Field.
I don't have anything tonight.
Commissioner Mellon.
Oh, I was gonna write something, but I'm just gonna wing it. Here lately, or last week, I believe it was, or at the beginning of this week, article came out in a national paper, national rag, that completely missed the topic of the subject. They'd prefer to take tragedy of somebody's death, of them killing themselves, and turn it into a political statement over gun control. This is bullshit. I'm sorry, excuse my language. Go into any store, Walmart, up there at Menards, or not Menards, but Murdoch's. You buy a gun, I'll buy a rope. We'll see who walks out of that store first. That you would take somebody's tragedy and turn it into a little statement like that? No respect. No respect to you at all. Taking fellow commissioners' pain and turning that into a news story that to hopefully further your little agenda? Absolutely wrong.
I'm thankful to live in the United States. I'm thankful to have the opportunity to vote. Thankful for all those that respect the wonderful privilege that is. My priest said in a sermon recently that some words that I thought were particularly appropriate during this time when we see so much on social media and we see so much in the news, and we hear so much vitriol and anger and bitterness. My priest said I could use some of these words. The current crisis is certainly ours and perhaps dire, but we'd fall victim to our pride if we were to assume that bearing the weight of living in times of crisis is unique. It feels new to us, but God has been here and done all this before. The greatest mistake we can make is to believe that our crisis, whatever it is definitive, immutable, and immovable, because only God is those things. So don't make an idol of your despair. Because the one thing that's stronger than any crisis we face, and the only way through all of these crises, is the compassionate, passionate, undaunted love that haunted the dreams of the prophets, and which is the light in our good teacher's eyes. So my feeling is, whatever happens tonight and in the days and weeks to come, put your faith and trust in the Lord, and things will be all right. With that, The meeting's adjourned.